Today we are making yarn tassels. To make the tassels by hand, you just need a few simple tools you probably have lying around the house. The first is 2 squares of cardboard. I've cut mine to 2 inches by 3 inches. That is the size that I used to make this tassel and this tassel. The actual size of the cardboard will affect the total length of your tassel, so keep that in mind. If you want to try one 2 by 3 like I'm doing here, that's a great place to start. So you need 2 pieces of cardboard, a tapestry needle, a pair of scissors, a pencil, and your working yarn, whatever color you're going to be making your tassel in. So the first step requires the cardboard, the yarn, and a pencil. What we're going to do is we're going to make a little bit of a sandwich here. We're going to put our pencil here. You can also use a knitting needle or a double-pointed needle for this. We're going to put our we're going to put our pencil in between the cardboard, and we're going to wrap it. So I usually leave just a length to start like this. Kind of try and keep your cardboard as parallel as possible. And I'm putting a thumb on here to secure the yarn at first. And then you're just going to start wrapping. Now, how much yarn you use is up to you. All you really need to know is the more yarn you use, the fuller a tassel you're going to have. So if you use a ton of yarn, you're going to have a really fluffy, plump tassel. And if you use less yarn, you're going to have a skinnier, straighter looking tassel. So I've wrapped my tassel. You can see I've got the pencil sandwiched in between. That's making a space because I'm going to need to come back here and thread something through there later. The second step is to start to prepare the cord, the twisted cord. And you're going to need about I usually use about 25 inches length. It's not an exact science by any stretch of the imagination. A good rule of thumb is that your finished cord will probably be about 1/3 to 1/4 of the length of whatever you're cutting off here right now. So in order to get this nice twisted cord, we're going to cut 2 strands of yarn the same length. So I've got 2 twin lengths of yarn that we're going to use for the cord. The next step is to take your tapestry needle. You're going to use this to put in the twist. I'm going to thread these 2 on. Then I'm going to align the ends, all 4 ends like that, and pull my tapestry needle so it's at the halfway point. So I've got it here on the halfway point, and I've got my 4 ends on this side all matched up. I'm just going to tie this off in a knot to keep these all in the same place. It doesn't need to be super tight. We'll be getting rid of this knot later. So that's how you start. So let's go get some twist in this yarn. So we've moved over to different workspace. And what you need to put twist into your cord is some kind of peg. I'm using a nail in my work table. Around the house, something that usually works really well is some kind of a wall hook or a coat hook, even a door handle, something not too thick and heavy. You just need something that you can anchor the yarn against as you're going to be adding twist, and then something that you can pretty easily just slip the yarn off when you're done. So I'm going to take the knotted end, which is directly across from my tapestry needle end at the halfway point. And I'm going to put my knotted end on my peg, and I'm going to pull so that I have no slack in the yarn here. And I'm going to start turning my tapestry needle and adding twist. I'm turning it clockwise. Either direction will work. And it is really good to get a lot of twist in there. If you want a nice, clean, finished twist on your cord, you really crank on the yarn right now at this stage. And when you're testing it like this and you pull back out, you get a little kink there. Just run your fingers across, and you'll do that as we're working just to kind of even out the twist over the length of the cord. I'm going to put the twisted cord under my tassel yarn here. So I'm going in between the cardboard. And again, try your best to keep as much tension on this during this time as possible. And we're going to put the tassel at the halfway point of the twisted cord. And I'm going to fold it in half, and I'm going to hold both ends. And now I'm holding taut right now my two ends. And this is a little tricky. I like to put a little twist around just to kind of keep everything together. And now I'm going to start to allow this twist to enter in. I'm going to let go, and you see how it spins. We don't have any kinks, but at this stage I like to, again, just press down with my fingers and straighten that out, even out the tension of the cord across the length. So I use a little binder clip, but you can use any kind of clip just to secure the twist at the end like that. And that allows both my hands to be free as I work, and it keeps this twisted cord nice and tight. So now we've got our twisted cord all set. I'm going to come back to the bottom side of the opposite side from the twisted cord. And I'm going to take my scissors and pop in here between the cardboard and just snip those yarns. So now we have our loose tassel just kind of gently being held there. We're done with our cardboard, we're done with our pencil. And now the last step, notice that I have this little band of yarn tied around the top of the tassel to finish it off. So take your yarn and pull out a nice long strand. Again, the length isn't critical. And now I'm going to pull all of this together like so in my hand. I'm going to take one end of my yarn and I'm going to place it alongside the rest of the tassel like that. So here's my long end coming off. This is what I'm going to use to secure my tassel there. And with just about a ½ inch or so sticking out, I'm going to really tightly, with a really tight grip, I'm going to start to wrap this around a few times. Just the first few times, just go really, really slow and really pull it nice and tight as you're doing this. Now that I've got a start, I can start to wind it a little more quickly. And now before I finish, the last couple of wraps, I put my finger out, I wrap around my finger like that, and take the end of the yarn and I just go through it. So I'm kind of making a half knot here. Hold that nice and tight. Do that one more time. So once more around, finger there to give a little space. Take the end and go through that little loop again. Now it's pretty secure. Here's my long end left over. I'm going to find one strand from the tassel itself that's near where my yarn is. This guy looks good. I'm going to take that and I'm going to tie these guys together in a knot. And that will secure the end once and twice. Now we have a nice finished tassel. It's looking a little disheveled, and this is my favorite part when we get to clean up with the scissors. Sometimes you might want to grab a comb as well and just kind of work the tassel fringe all down in one direction. That helps see where you need a little bit of trim. So you just take your scissors and just clean this up. And you can kind of shape it as you go. Finished tassel there. For extra bonus points, you may want to take a steam iron to this now and just give it a little puff of steam. These will fluff right up. That's an extra finishing, but it's not required. Now you see I have my binder clip still here. On this tassel, I tied off with a knot and then just snipped. It really depends on how you need to use the tassel in terms of what you're going to do. If you're going to sew it into the end of a shawl or a mitten or something, you're going to want to have some extra yarn here that you can use to sew in. If you're going to sew it onto something, say with a sewing machine, you wouldn't need that extra length of yarn here for working in, so tying off in a knot with a tiny little edge there would be fine. And there you have it. Making tassels by hand.